What is up, everyone, and happy week 2 of the preseason. Today, we're going to talk about what guys are we looking at, and do we want to see play and see what they've got going on, how they improved from last week, and what we can look forward to with their play in this kind of boring week 2 of the preseason, because a lot of the younger guys that we'd want to see or quarterbacks aren't really playing. So the first and foremost that I really want to see is Dillon Gabriel. Shedeur Sanders is not going to play for the Cleveland Browns, so Dillon Gabriel is going to be playing. And like I spoke about this already, the Cleveland Browns got an interesting quarterback situation with currently having technically five. I don't know why I don't count Snoop Huntley that he just signed, but he's like the fifth least important quarterback on this team. So they have four quarterbacks that are essentially trying to fight for not just the QB1 spot, but to make the team. So like I spoke on the previous podcast, really looking at that Cleveland quarterback room to see what goes on there, because if Dillon Gabriel doesn't play great, you're definitely keeping him as a third-round pick. Are you keeping Kenny Pickett as Joe Flacco's backup? And then what happens with Shedeur? Are you keeping four quarterbacks? Like, that's not going to happen. So I don't know. I don't know what Cleveland's going to do. But I want to see Dillon Gabriel. If he balls out and he plays pretty solid, then maybe Cleveland thinks to themselves, all right, you know what? We'll cut Kenny Pickett and we'll start Joe Flacco and have one of the rookies, whichever one's playing better, essentially be QB2. And if something, God forbid, happens to Joe Flacco, then we got to just let the rookie ball out. So whichever one of the two it is. So I want to see Dillon Gabriel play, see what he does. He missed last week's game with an injury, so he should be playing this week. So that should be exciting. They play Philly, and they've been doing a practice with them this whole week. So we'll see if he ends up getting the start, how he plays, and all that. All right, I wrote some notes on my phone, so here we go. The next guy, kind of cheating a little bit because the game is actually going on right now, but Cam Ward. Cam Ward looked pretty promising, but look, he had rookie moments last week. He had good throws. He had some not good throws, but ultimately, I want to see how he progresses. How's he going to do? I watched the first drive today, actually, a couple minutes ago. They are playing the Atlanta Falcons, and he had a really nice throw. It was about a 30-yard pass. When I stopped watching, he was 2 for 5 with 37 yards passing. And I don't really want to say that he looked like a rookie quarterback, more than I just want to say the team just looked like a young team with making simple mistakes. So ultimately, Cam Ward, I stopped watching to come do this, so I'm curious to see if he's playing more, what numbers he finishes up with. But it's all about development for him, and obviously seeing how that goes. The next guy, Anthony Richardson. How are you going to bounce back after that injury and 3-play performance, I guess, that you had last week? It didn't read the defense well, got completely destroyed. He had a finger injury, but he's been at practice. So it's kind of hard this week with week 2. The coaches don't really say who is going to play, who's not going to play. So it's tricky to kind of pick some guys to watch. But I do know that, Anthony Richardson's been practicing. It looks like from the camp that they had, the camp they were having with the Green Bay Packers, that he made some pretty nice throws at camp. So if he plays tomorrow and he plays pretty solid, maybe they're back on track with, all right, this project, Anthony Richardson, might work out. But if he struggles again or has some mental breakdowns or doesn't read the defense well, it could be Daniel Jones' show to run in Indianapolis. I'm kind of high on the Colts this year, and just because I thought to myself, like, well, it can't get worse than last year with their quarterback play, and everything else seems to have improved a little bit. So, but it seems like the quarterback situation might be a mess again, and yeah, that would stink. All right, the next, I guess essentially you could say player I'm watching, which again, I don't know if they're playing or not. I don't think he's going to play, but it is essentially Jimmy Garoppolo, but technically it's the Rams QB room. I'm watching this because Stafford's injured. He's got a back injury. He hasn't practiced. He's missed all of camp, and we're kind of getting close. Time's coming to the regular season, and we got to find out, hey, Stafford going to be ready for week 1 or not? And I really don't know which way to lean on this. I almost feel like if Garoppolo plays in this preseason week 2 game, it almost makes me feel like that means that they feel confident that Stafford will be there by week 1. If he doesn't play, it almost tells me that they're putting Garoppolo on ice and trying to keep him healthy because they're going to need him for week 1. So I'm not really sure which way to look at it. They're playing at home against the LA Chargers Saturday. And I'm just interested to see what happens there. If Stetson Bennett starts, so Garoppolo doesn't play at all, and he's been at practice this week, essentially their QB1 while Stafford's out. If they start Stetson Bennett, Garoppolo doesn't play, you might start thinking to yourself, like, all right, maybe they're playing it safe because they're not so sure Stafford's going to be ready by week 1. And if he's not, good luck, because Garoppolo has had some struggles. Very handsome man, but as a quarterback, he's had his struggles. So, all right. And last, certainly not least, is Will Campbell, the left tackle of the New England Patriots. They are playing the Vikings on Saturday. And he's been getting torched so far in the practices that they had with the Vikings. Obviously, Jonathan Grenard is lining up across from him, and he is a great player. But apparently he gave up like 3 sacks to Grenard in 11 reps of 11 on 11 yesterday. So Will Campbell, high draft pick for the Patriots, trying to protect Drake May. This is big because if he's not good and he's kind of a bust, you got a problem. You invested a high pick on a left tackle that isn't working out. And I'm not going to call him a bust or anything. Like, obviously, he's so young. It's preseason. It's week 2. But, that has major ramifications just for if he struggles. Like, it's not like a running back that you spent high draft capital on that you're like, all right, he's struggling and it's hurting our team, but we're losing. It is what it is. We hand off the ball to him and see if he breaks a run. With a left tackle, if he's struggling, now you're also putting your quarterback at risk, who also you spent high draft capital. So Will Campbell's kind of got to get it together relatively soon. I think he'll have this season as a runway, but if he starts off the season struggling, at some point you got to look out for Drake May and protect him. So it's kind of on Will Campbell. As a Viking fan, I want to see the Vikings left guard Donovan Jackson, who had a great play in camp. I think it was Wednesday in the camp with the Patriots. I'm going to try to find this clip real quick because I thought it was a pretty good clip for Donovan Jackson. But in the trenches, obviously, it's always boring, I guess you could say. But it is definitely something that I think, when there's not really the starting quarterbacks in there and stuff, well, like, why not to look at? So, all right, here's that clip that I'm talking about with Donovan Jackson. So here he is, 74. They set up the screen for Aaron Jones, and here goes Donovan Jackson. Bang! Oh, you want some too? Bang! Knocks down 2 guys on the play. That was a good play by the rookie. So left guard Donovan Jackson. Let's look at it again. He got out there, moved the speed, athletic guy. He looks huge, man. That's Brian O'Neill. Is that Ryan Kelly? Ryan Kelly right there. But Donovan Jackson, grab reaction. Knocks down 2 guys. So Donovan Jackson, I'll be on the lookout for him as a Vikings fan as well. Obviously, hoping that he holds up and does well. But he's a left guard. But a left tackle, that's more important. Obviously, that's the quarterback's blind side, especially with Drake May. So I think for the Patriots, it's key that he has, a good performance, especially having struggled in camp against. He was going against a pretty great Viking defense that we all expect, and a great player in Jonathan Grenard. But if you're spending the 4th pick, top 5 pick in the draft on the left tackle, you want him to actually, be solid from the get-go. So we'll see how it plays out. Those are the guys that I'm looking at for these matchups in week 2 of the preseason. We're almost there, guys. We are almost there. Less than 3 weeks, baby. And football, like real football, like regular season football, will be here.